If you don't recognise the name Klaus Teuber, you certainly may have heard of him from one of the games that he designed. He was the creative mind that brought us Settlers of Catan, or what is now referred to today as Simply Just Catan. Well, the creator of Simply Just Catan teamed up with his son, Benjamin, little Benjamin Baby Boo, and together they produced Tumult Royale. In it, essentially, you are a bunch of royals with exorbitant egos trying to produce the best legacy by building the most statues of yourself throughout all of the kingdoms. Anyway, whilst I wait for this to prove, let's have a ganders. The game boils down to collecting resources, building statues, and changing the hierarchy of the royalty, all whilst trying to keep the peace, trying to maintain the support of the salt of the earth, the common folk. You've got different resources made up of bread, stone, and tools, and each tile consists of 1, 2, or 3 of each of those resources. At the beginning of a round, each player is going to remove 3 of those tiles, thus leaving a remaining mystery amount of resources for everybody to try and grab. Whoever is the king or queen of that round is going to flick the tumult spinner. Whichever number it lands on is going to determine how many of each resource you need to leave behind in order to keep the peasant folk happy. You flip the sand timer over and you've all got 20 seconds to grab a tile one at a time and decide whether or not you're going to keep them or return them. Once you have grabbed hold of a tile and kept it, you cannot return it. Once the timer's up, everybody is going to reveal what they grabbed, hoping that they've got a lot of everything, but really hoping that they left enough behind for the peasant folk, because if they didn't, they're going to be angry. And when they get angry, they want blood. Bread. There will be bread. To illustrate my point, I've spun a 4 on the spinner here, so that means after we've taken our resources, we need to make sure that we've left behind at least 4 of every resource. We flip over what's left in the middle, and we see, well, we've got enough bread and we've got enough tools left behind for them, but the stone, we didn't leave enough for them. So everybody flips over their tiles and they're going to be going after the greediest person in stone. So if that was me, I lose all of my resources except for my worst one, which I get to keep. I lose the support of 3 followers and my life is that little bit harder. But luckily I didn't lose any bread, it's mine, it's all mine. It's no, it's not yours. The frantic flipping of tiles is certainly the most entertaining part of this game. It's the battling out against others as you fight for those resources, and the time constraint allows you to think instinctively but not reflectively in the hopes that you get enough of a range of resources. You see, you miss out on a resource and you're not going to be able to build anything. You are too conservative, you play it safe, and again, you're not going to be able to build much. Yet, if you take too much and are greedy, then you're going to lose resources, not be able to build statues, but also lose followers as well. It's a wonderful little balance of risk and reward. Once all potential tumults have been resolved, you're then going to go into the building phase, where each of you are in turn are going to be spending your resources to build statues of yourselves. No, take it off. Thank you. Now instead, you're going to be laying down these little guys. You can place them into fields that are adjacent to statues that you have already built, or you can spend a little bit extra to go further afield. Ideally, you want to be able to place your statues in the village or city areas, because although they cost a little bit more to build, you're going to be able to place multiple statues at once. The placing of statues is pretty light, strategically speaking. I mean, all you're going to really be doing is trying to put your statues out on the better plots of land. However, there is also some scope for trying to block off your opponents, or you just might have a sheer lack of resources that you're just going to put out your statues wherever you possibly can. At the end of the round, you're going to redistribute the ranks. So whoever has the most followers is going to become the new king or queen, and then that trickles down in numerical order. When you become the monarch, you've got to spend 5 followers, but you do get a little bonus that you're going to be able to spend a statue or statues free of charge in the Corridor of Legends, or whatever it's called. Later on in the game, you're also going to reveal more plots of land, and the winner is going to be the first person who spends all 25 of their statues, or the person in first builds up a sizable enough lead over the person in last. Essentially, this game is a simplification of Marxist theory. You've got the people at the bottom of the ladder, the proletariat. They're the peasants who work the land. They work tremendously hard just in order to get by. And then you've got the opposite. At the top of the tree, you've got the bourgeoisie. That's us. We rule the land, and we just take from the people because that's how we feel like. Now, we just do it just enough so that they can tolerate us. But if we take too much, well, then a revolt can occur. And so this is your bread, but I eat your bread. I eat it up. There are little bits and bobs that kind of act as little catch-up mechanics. The lower the rank you are does put you in a weaker position in turn order when placing your statues. However, the lower the rank always breaks ties when determining who's greedier during a tumult. If you happen to be in last, you also get this side of the token, the people show you mercy. This acts as a little benefit as well. You can kind of risk trying to be that little bit greedier, because if there is a tumult, you always get to subtract 1 to all of your resources. This game genuinely was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting that much from it, and I'll admit I was pretty ambivalent towards the theme. However, over time, its uniqueness and the fact that you are outrageously pompous in making statues of yourself really started to grow on me. Also, the components themselves are all really pretty nice. The tiles are very sturdy, and these little player aid castle tiles are fantastic. They have the breakdown of the turn order, and they provide the blueprints on how to build each statue. They also have these little punched out sections as well to store your statues with numbers on them to help you keep track of the score. They're just so handy dandy, they're functional, they're helpful, and are great at maintaining the game's cadence. There are a few little things that irritate me about this game. One of them is the importance of stone. You see, if you want to build anything on your turn, you must always have that resource. And yes, thematically it makes sense. You need to have stone in order to make statues. However, if you miss out on bread or tools, you're still going to be able to build something. Miss out on stone and you can do nothing at all. There should be some sort of alternate mechanic that can just try to even the playing field, just in case you miss out on that resource. Then there's this convoluted nature of the followers. When you're too greedy, you lose followers. That I'm with, that makes sense. If you build a statue, say I use these resources to build a statue in a pasture, whatever I get in change of resources, I get back as followers. However, at the end of the turn, if I have any unspent resources, they just decay. I get absolutely nothing for them. Then as well, whoever becomes king or queen at the end of the round automatically loses 5 followers. This doesn't really make any coherent sense, other than just to try to balance out the advantage the player gets for being crowned the monarch. The sand timer is obsolete and pretty much useless. It acts as a hindrance more than it helps. You see, the monarch for the round, they're in charge of it. They've got to flip it over and they have to keep track of it. They yell out stop when it ends. This puts them at a serious disadvantage because they have got more to worry about. They want to focus solely on getting those resources, but instead they've got to multitask. They've got to use some of their precious time, and the time is so short that they have to focus on resources and the timer as well. It puts them at a disadvantage, and it's just not fair, and you'll have many occasions when you actually go over that time limit, so it's just a lot better just using an electronic audible timer. Overall, I enjoyed this game considerably more than I expected to. Don't be expecting a game of deep, complex strategy. However, do expect lots of rampant tussling, optimal spending and risk-taking. If you like a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, then look no further. What's a boon is also that this game is readily available, and quite often wherever you find it, it is on sale at a very, very affordable price. Had it not been going pretty cheap, I would have probably walked straight past this one, because I mean, can you blame me? The box cover looks about as appetizing as a pot noodle. Thanks again for watching. If you liked what you saw, please hit that subscribe button down there, and you can reach me on social media via my Facebook and Instagram pages. This was Tumult Royale. What games do you find have absolutely terrible box covers, but once you get inside them are pleasant surprises? I have been John the Board Game Chap. Happy gaming and cheerio! Who nicked me bread? Find this buffoon and kill him now.